necesidades ajenas no sienten mi pena. Que allá donde no había, no solicito permiso para la vida. Soy rica en esperanzas y de reto no me niego. Le daré vista hasta el más ciego. Soy rica en esperanzas y de reto no me niego. Estoy aquí, estoy aquí. Y de reto no me niego. Estoy aquí, estoy aquí. Conocí, siempre hay manera, no más necesito un terrenito, una parcela. Hay bastantes, sobran ejidos robados y prestados. El vivo sigue de pie, no como el muerto acostado. Ay, esas cumbres, como brillan, llamando la atención. Para la vida, soy rica en esperanzas y de reto no me niego. Le daré vista hasta el más ciego. Soy rica en esperanzas y de reto no me niego. Estoy aquí y de reto no me niego. Estoy aquí. Over cerros, over desert valleys, from the ranchos to the towns to the city alleys. Coming ones, coming twos, Texas, skip to Cali. People walking, running, crawling, quarter tallies. Men, boys, women, girls, young, old, skinny, fatty. Hold their elders, hold their hopes, hold their little babies. No food, no means, no way to have it. Run, stumble, fall, get back up and at it. Make the plan, pay the man, truck it, walk it, run it. Under moon, under radar, make the dash and gun it. Touching down, get to town, washing, working, mowing. Taking heat, filling needs, sending line unknowing. That you need, feel like creep, has a present sowing. Other ties, US lies, going, telling, throwing. The more they come, they'll challenge, sets of law and knowing. What is seen, what it's moving, there is no destroying. And if you've heard this story, valleys on the bestia drifting, milagros, santos, muchos love, elder persinadas, a safe return, a miracle, new peregrinadas. The oracle said miracle, yeah, history at its pinnacle, yeah. The oracle said miracle, yeah, dreaming is the pinnacle, yeah. And if you've heard this story, you know more pain.
welcome to Trek Table, your Sunday weekly podcast holding Trek space for
Black, Indigenous, Brown,
women of color,
queer or otherwise,
and our allies. Hey, I'm your host, Dela, and today I'm holding Trek space for Santos Space Daddy Dr. Hugh Culber. Well, I'm holding you, but not holding you, because I see and I witness that you were flinching so soon to the touch after your Santo rebirth. So I'm going to center healing on your world today.
and I am your co-host, Claudia, and today I am holding Trek space for those taking space and the things that are possible when you have the space to grow.
I'm your co-host, Maya Mama, and today I'm holding Trek space for those that are living in fear. We are with you and we are listening.
Hi, I'm your guest co-host, Luz Biminda, and I'm holding Trek space for those like Saru, who are just beginning to know their transformed, powerful selves.
Greetings. I am Rose Portillo, your guest co-host, and I am holding Trek space also for Saru, but as he reflects on ancestry and that DNA that is familial.
Awesome. We also want to acknowledge that in our chat, Elaine Joy is holding space for anybody who feels heard or unseen. So we invite everybody to go ahead and just take a breath in as we hold all that Trek space. Go ahead, breathe in. And exhale. Yes. All right. So as we start this Trek table today, in addition to what we're holding Trek space for, we want to acknowledge that our teams and our digital equipment are located on the unceded lands of the Tongva, the Chumash, the Quiche, the Ohlone, the Pawtucket, and Massachusetts peoples. And we're grateful to the Indigenous stewards of these lands, the ancestors who come before, those who are here now, and those who have yet to come. We invite you as listeners and viewers to discover and acknowledge the lands that you are on. All right, so let's go ahead and take a breath and breathe in all of that land acknowledgement. Go ahead, breathe in. And exhale.
Thank you all for joining us today as we hold Trek space for women of color here in front of our live digital audience on Outside in Theater's YouTube channel, as well as for those of you that are listening on our podcast archive.
Our opening track for this episode is titled Chicana Skies by the band Quetzal, off their album Quetzal. You'll be hearing several tracks by Quetzal throughout this episode of Trek Table. Follow Quetzal at Quetzal Music on Instagram and see our show notes or the chat for a link to their merchandise and more.
Yes, yes. Thank you to the band Quetzal, and welcome to this Trek Table Assembled. Welcome, everybody, to episode 23 of the Trek Table. I'm your host and show creator, Dela. Thank you all so much for showing up for this conversation with women of color. We're assembled today to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 6, The Sound of Thunder. Just a little bit about this episode. The Red Angel is leading us to Kaminar for Saru to have a Saru-packed episode with family reunions, space evolution, revolution for the Kelpians, and what about that warp capability of the Ba'ul? We also have a very special video version of Space Runway today. Maya Chinchilla brings 3 new friends to the table: Sara Guerra, Lulu Matute, and Black Benatar, aka Beatrice Thomas. So we're very excited for that space fashion talk today. And for this and so many reasons, we have a great episode lined up for you today.
We're so glad that you're joining this BIWOC Trek conversation. Hello and welcome. So that we can build with each other. How do you enter this conversation as a Star Trek fan? Are you Star Trek curious, a newbie, a canon head, Trekkie, an OG Trekkie, Trekker, Star Trekking family, Star Trek femme, Trek Zaddy? Let us know in the chat.
Yes, so many choices today to tell us how you identify as a Star Trek fan. All right, so welcome to Trek Table episode 23. We're going to look at Star Trek Discovery, season 2, episode 6, The Sound of Thunder. And we are going to do that in a couple of different ways, like we do here at the Trek Table. Claudia's got Trek Table questions. We're going to try and play popcorn recap and see, can we really get it done in 2.5 minutes? Marie has questions. The Rose Portillo edition is back. We're excited to see what questions Rose will ask us. And then Claudia will take us through all the drama and Discovery design. Maya Chinchilla, as I said, has a special space runway video for us today. And then I'll braid it all together with thematics. We'll also spend some time in spoiler zone. So for folks who are watching synchronously, don't worry, we got you. We won't spoil until the zone. And then, of course, signal boost to all of our favorite women of color content creators, our final thoughts, and our gratitude. So we are so excited to have you all here. So much to do, but before we get into this conversation, this last part of our practice is to have a quick check-in so we know who's around the table and we have a sense of where you're coming from and what's going on with you today. So I want to welcome our table gathered in this virtual room with us today. Thanks to all of our friends in the chat. Elaine, great to see you. Great to see folks just kind of chopping it up with us. We're super excited. Okay, so table, can I have you check in? I know, I'm super excited. Here we go. Table, we're about to check in. Your name, your pronouns. How do you visually describe where you are, who you are? Any access check-in? And finally, how do you enter as a Star Trek fan? Maya Mama, you started us off so well before that break. Can you go ahead and check in for us first?
Oh, well, thank you. I am Maya Mama. I use she, her, hers. Access check-in. I'm feeling pretty good today, actually. I am a young-looking, middle-aged black woman. I'm wearing makeup on my face, and I'm wearing an orange turtleneck dress. And I identify as Star Trek generational and poly-sci-fi. Lately, I've been re-experimenting with a little show called Eureka.
Oh, yes.
Response from the table. Thank you, my mama. Last week it was Farscape. This week it's Eureka. I love it. All right, Claudia, can I have you check in next?
Claudia, they, their, she, hers. You can use those interchangeably. Visual description. I'm an African-American woman with a big brown afro, wearing a headset, a disco shirt. I've got my cane. I've got my gloves on, and I am sitting on the original Star Trek, the set of the original Star Trek. And my access check-in is that I got some allergies, so I just made sure to have my tea, Earl Grey hot, just to make sure that's covered. And I've got a muscle disorder, so that means I'm in the middle of a flare. I might pull some faces. I am very rarely pulling a face at a Star Trek opinion. Usually I'm pulling a face because one of my muscles is pulling me, but I got this handy dandy futuristic heating pack behind me, so I think I am all set. I identify as well as generational Star Trek and poly sci-fi, although y'all, I've been wandering. I watched Schmigadoon yesterday. I'm not sure what that was, but I liked it. I liked it a lot.
It's schmiggin' awesome.
It is a party today here at the Trek Table. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Maya Mama. I want to welcome back Luzbi Minda Jariwala, not only my sibling in the executive producer role here at the Trek Table, but what's up, Luzbi? Super excited to welcome you back. Thanks for being on this side of our microphone and cameras and editing equipment. And for those of you who don't know, Luzbi Minda is an agent of radical love, a sustainer of intentional community, and a conduit for collaboration. Welcome, Luzbi. How are you? Can I have you check in?
Yes, yes. Hi, I'm Luzbi Minda, aka Luzbi or Minda. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Visually, I'm a petite Gen X Filipina with long black hair, wearing a navy blue disco shirt. Access check-in, I'm feeling good. I got a new microphone, new cans, headphones. I had a little scratch in my throat, but I'm feeling good because I got my mushroom tea. In honor of mycelial gill network and all of the immune and all of the antioxidant qualities of mushroom tea. So feeling good. Oh, I identify as a Star Trek newbie. Just got introduced to Star Trek through Discovery this year, and I am sci-fi curious.
Love it. And I think the question from the chat might be, is that hallucinogenic mushrooms in your tea? I love it. All right. That's
Let's
what's
call
up.
it.
That's
Let's
what's up.
call it.
You know, we honor all kinds of things here at the Trek Table. All right. So I also want to honor that in the chat, Puget Zulu is like, Eureka. I haven't thought about that show forever. And Rose, I know you
so
love that show.
good.
Yes.
good.
All right.
So good.
So now I'm going to introduce our friend, guest of the show, one of my siblings in the making of so many great pieces of theater. Rose Portillo is a renowned theater artist, actor, director, writer, collaborator, educator. This 40-plus year veterana of the stage and screen, large and small. Rose is a community builder and art maker of altas and mosaics, aka you can find her at Mosaics. Rose is an innovator, initiator, intuit, a maverick, and dedicated to breaking new ground and smashing stereotypes. What's up, Rose? Can I just say welcome again? Thank you so much for
Yes.
being here. Can I
You
have you
betcha.
check in?
My pleasure. Okay, I'm a she, her, hers. I am bejeweled with this fabulous red necklace. It's plastic, but it's fabulous. And I'm wearing big hoop earrings that my husband made, hammered from copper. It's one of the reasons I married him. And let's see what else. I'm in a very brightly colored room with the purple curtains are really showing today. I got some gladiolas in the background because why not? And I don't remember why. Oh, I'm an OG. Of course, I'm an OG. If you're not visually impaired, it's evident in my coif that I'm an OG. But also I'm a Trekkie OG from way back in the days, and reintroduced to Trek through Discovery through Dela. So I am so happy to be back as a fan with all the Roddenberry stuff that set us all off. It's just fabulous. Okay, I'm back. I'm happy I'm back. Ta-da.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Yes, I will honor all of the beautiful greatness that is in your hair. Yes, yes, yes. To all the things. I'm so excited. All right. I'll close out this check-in. What's up, everybody? I'm Dela. My pronouns are she, he, they, and Dela. Mixed, queer, Filipino, bigger-bodied person with some of my blue hair showing. I have my Filipino malong in the background, 33 and a third record clock, and also my Star Trek Discovery backpack. So I am excited and ready to go. I enter this with some canon and minutia knowledge starting as a Trekkie with Next Generation. I went to my first convention with my high school friends in 91, 92. And I'll just say I'm definitely sci-fi poly, but I am forever, for sure, deeply, deeply, deeply committed. Star Trek Discovery is my monogamish commitment. I have to acknowledge I broke a little and had a little poly time with some Star Wars Bad Batch the other night. So I acknowledge all the things, but let us not trip, because this whole show started because I fell in love with Star Trek Discovery and Michael Burnham, and I'm so excited that this show is such a great example of what happens when women of color get to talk to each other about Star Trek and welcome new friends. And there are 6 people on the show who started watching Discovery because we were doing this show. So I'm super excited. That's what's up, CBS and Paramount, is we're going to organize women of color person by person.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all our things. Let's jump into this business. All right. So the final thing we do as business before we start these dialogues is we just like to set up our agreements at the Trek table. So I just want to say welcome. Welcome to all who enter, whether you're a newbie or you were raised in a Star Trekking family. Welcome. Let's build this space together.
Whether you use Trek Table as your nerdy exploration or as part of your self-care ritual, Trek Table is a weekly space to put down the world for a second and come into Trek space.
This is a space for Black, Brown, Indigenous, women of color to be a fan, a geek, a nerd, and explore the vastness of the Star Trek multiverse.
Trek Table is also a place for allies to come, engage, and explore as well. This is an opportunity for allies to hold space and focus on insights, perspectives, and experiences that we may not or you may not be familiar with.
And now that we are all here, we remind you that we seek to build an environment of mutual respect and listening. We understand we'll disagree, and that is actually part of the fun, but there's enough hate going on in the world, so keep your phasers on stun.
All right, everybody. Those are our agreements. I invite friends in the chat joining us on YouTube as well. Let's go ahead and breathe in all those commitments. Go ahead and agreements. Breathe in. And exhale.
Ooh, well, this brings us to our first Trek Table question posed to our Trek Table, assembled here in voice and video, and those participating in Outside In's YouTube channel chat. Here's our first question, y'all. Is Culber like the ship of Theseus? The Theseus, y'all know that one, the myth of the ship of Theseus. It raised the question, if the ship is altered one board at a time and reassembled, is it the same ship? Y'all know that. It's an essential question Dr. Culber's asking himself. So, is Dr. Culber like the ship of Theseus?
Mira que regresa el maldito. Viene con las manos llenitas de piedra que no quiere arrojar.
Welcome back, y'all. So I need y'all to answer this question. It's a very important question. It was the first question that came to mind. Culber came back, and I was like, Culber as a ship of Theseus, y'all. Wow. And this comes out sometimes when I'm thinking of just like being beamed away in general. So I'm curious, y'all. Is Culber the same Culber? What do you think? Lizzie Minda, what do you think?
I say yes. I think he's fundamentally changed. But aren't we all different every moment to moment? Like there's a saying that you can never step foot in a river, the same river twice. You know, we're constantly changing. We're fluid, and so Culber went through a ginormous transformation in his body. He went through trauma. He is not the same person that we knew an episode ago. And are you the same person an episode ago?
All right, Maya
Wow.
Mama. Yeah, I know. Like, I ask these questions like I'm asking a question about Star Trek, but low key, I just come here for therapy. Maya Mama, what do you think is Dr. Culber? Is Dr. Culber like the ship of Theseus?
Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna try and be as like the least academic as I can as far as sci-fi-ness, but yes, he sort of is, and he is still him, the core of who he is. So his memories and things like that, those are all the same, but he's still changed. Lucy is saying that like everything in life has changed. Life is change. I think that his experiences in life currently remind me of experiences of military personnel that have been POWs or missing in action. The way that his PTSD is manifesting. I think that that's really interesting. But when you talk about the ship of Theseus, I think of an episode of The Outer Limits. It's called Think Like a Dinosaur in 2001, where their their transportation technology is that essentially they copy exactly who you are molecule by molecule, and they send that to the other planet.
And they have to delete the error.
And they have to delete the error, which is you. And by deleting the error, that means they kill you. So you, as you are in this body, is deleted. And then there's another you that has been cloned, essentially, with the same memories and everything that exists on that planet. But that's you. And there's no question about the fact that that's you. They're both you. Just one is a duplicate or an error. And I just thought that was interesting, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Ooh, come on. That was the 90s one. That was the 90s version of The Outer Limits. Highly recommend it. Rose, I saw you have a reaction to that reference.
Well,
I also want to hear, what do you think?
Well, also, oh my God, yes, all those things, and thinking of the world of improv, theatrical background, yes, and so yes and no, so and and just looking at this man that yes, all the boards have been put back together like on the ship. Okay, one starts to rot, you replace it, and you replace it with the same dimensions and the same torque and the same all this stuff, but it's not the same. It actually isn't. So in that, okay, the naivete of his partner, I know no one's names, the naivete of his partner to just like, hey, it's all good, it's all back. It's like, no, dude, you missed the whole trauma, first of all, and I'm readjusting, and I just lived an entire lifetime with utterly no trust, and you expect me to just step back in the way it was, which brings up your POW MIA analogy completely, absolutely. So yes, and no.
Y'all. Okay. I have 9 opinions now based on what you all have shared. Dayla, bring me home. What do you got? I'm going to check the chat too to see if any of our audience can help me to have some clarity, because I agree with all of you.
So, I mean, I would say the yes and. I was gonna go to that saying where they talk about, and maybe this is a scientifical moment, but every 7 years our bodies have regenerated all the cells in our bodies,
Right.
so that actually as living human beings, we are a ship of Theseus, because we literally replace our bodies cell by cell. So who I am now is based on the 7 years ago of who I was, and who I will be in 5 years is different than who I am now, because I will have 5 years of new cells. So I will just say, like, and then everything Rose just said, Daddy Stamets, what's up? Do you not see what happened to Boo? You pulled him out of the mycelial network, and you act like you're just, but I get it. You're happy your husband's back, but
Right.
that's why I said in my check-in, like, I'm gonna hold track space for Colbert by not holding him, because he clearly does not want anyone to touch him.
He does not want to be touched. He does not want to be touched, and that scar ain't there no more, and that's not okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
He's been replaced, but not exactly.
No,
He's missing
because
some of the
before,
things. Yeah.
It was choice, and now it's not
Yes.
choice. You don't get to decide, and he's dealing with that.
Oh, okay. All right, y'all. That was amazing. My mind is blown, and that was only our first Trek Table question, y'all. Follow us at Trek Table on Instagram. That was Trek Table question number 1.
Trek Table is proud to be a part of the digital theater platform at Outside In Theater. Like and subscribe the Outside In YouTube channel for our weekly live digital recordings. Listening on the podcast, check out youtube.com/Outside In Theater.
All right, we are back. We are having so much fun. We're having to cough and laugh and deal with ourselves with the sound cues. So thank you, everybody. Welcome back. You know, that was Matanzas by the band Quetzal. And with that song, we know that this is Popcorn Recap. The game is supposed to be simple. It's like 2.5 minutes to share chunklets of plot from this week's episode.
Today we will be talking about season 2, episode 6, The Sound of Thunder, directed by Douglas Arianovsky and written by Young Kim and Erica Lippold.
We think it's funny because Minda is a Trek newbie and has only tried Popcorn Recap once before. Dayla loves minutia, and Claudia and I come from a generational Star Trek family. Can we get it done?
Here we go. Brandon, please set 2.5 minutes on the timer. Can we get it done?
Namyoho Renge Kyo.
Incoming transmission.
Okay, so we get another Red Angel signal that leads the Discovery to Saru's homeworld of Kaminar.
Meanwhile, on the ship, Dr. Culber has a brand new body, but he's not feeling it.
Michael Burnham is a xenoanthropologist, and Saru visits his old village and reconnects with his sister Sarana, a Kelpian prince or priestess, not princess, but maybe.
And Saru, he's super mad that his people were lied to and tricked into like totally killing themselves for like some kind of like fake balance or whatever by the Baul, right? And so the Baul are like, hey, yo, Pike, you have to surrender Saru to us because you at Starfleet stole Saru because somehow we own him or something, because Starfleet had agreed to stay out of a conflict between the two species.
And then like Agent Tyler's still there for Section 31, and he's watching, trying to understand who the what's and the what's is happening. Meanwhile, Saru decides to mouth off, and Pike turns around and is like, get off this bridge. You need to take care of yourself. And Saru decides to go visit Transporter DJ and beam himself back to Kaminar to stop this fight.
Meanwhile, back on the ship, Tilly's working with Lieutenant Commander Arium for speed data mining of the sphere for info on Kaminar. They learn that the post-Fahari Kelpians were once Kaminar's dominant species and nearly eradicated the Baul. The Baul only survived using their superior technology to cull the Kelpians.
Black Slime Baul judge Saru and his sister harshly. Saru hulks out and breaks free, and his sister is out.
And then he convinces a Discovery to take the Baul's technology and totally trigger Varaha and every single Kelpian on the planet because he thinks, well, maybe like that'll help them work it all out. Once the Kelpians know the truth will be out.
And then the Baul decide they want to retaliate to Starfleet's action by attempting to genocide all of the Kelpians using their watchful eye pylon in their villages.
But right at the right moment, the Red Angel appears and saves them all. Saru sees it as a humanoid wearing a highly advanced suit.
In the wrap-up, Ash and Pike discuss Control's threat assessment models and the potential danger of the time travel agent in their own opinions.
And then Saru and Michael talk about it in the hallway in their feelings.
I think we won.
It counts.
We totally won.
We got it. We got it.
I'm not sure about that. I didn't say that Michael was going to Vulcan. That is the last plot point, and I didn't say it. I just said that they had feelings.
But you did.
Feelings. They talked about their feelings in the hallway. It's true.
Right. And we know that Discovery loves a good hallway walk talk. But I want to say maybe that's not really a plot point for this week. Maybe it's the foreshadow for next week. So we won. I love how we're so just like, oh my god. The chat's like almost. Thanks chat. All right. So if you enjoyed, I just want to say great job, everybody. I agree with Rose. Best yet. So if you're looking for an act by act breakdown, because I know some of y'all want the details of the details of the details, then we invite you to check out
the show.
Peanut Gallery is active today. You can also go to Women at Warp and read the recap that Sue did. We'll drop that link in the chat and the notes.
And if you're having a good time, let's keep the dialogue and the laughter going. We invite you to like us and subscribe to us on Instagram at Trek Table and on Twitter at Trek Table 1. Join the conversations. Hashtag Trek Table. Hashtag BIWOC Trek, and hashtag Star Trek Discovery.
Marie has questions.
What does this mean?
Marie has questions.
What's happening? She did what? She's from where? She killed who?
I love these sound cues. Welcome back to Marie Has Questions, the Rose Portillo edition. All right. So we always use this question because we like to model here at the Trek Table that it is okay to ask questions, especially for a Star Trek Discovery newbie like Rose. And with the topic as big as Star Trek, and Rose comes in as an OG Trekkie, so we want to allow for these questions. All right. Maya Mama and I are going to be standing by. Rose will have 2 minutes on the clock, and Rose gets to ask us as many questions as she can while Maya and Mama answer as many as we can. All right, Brandon, I see that we have a timer window ready. Can I ask you to engage?
Incoming transmission.
Okay, so I'm a newbie. So First question. Why is Burnham qualified to speak to a priest?
Because she's a xenoanthropologist.
Because she's a xeno. Oh,
Yeah. What is a xenoanthropologist?
an anthropologist who studies being that she is not. So basically, it's a fancy word for anthropologist in the space.
She studies
I still don't
aliens.
understand
She's
why
like a
that's
space anthropologist.
Okay, so I'm just saying. So then maybe the show hasn't quite actually threaded those two together, because maybe I see something around volcanism as making her a little more appropriate for that.
Well, she is a scientist, and so what she studies
Science priest. Excuse
she
me.
studies the
Science
social
priest.
I know, right? But she studies the social and
You're not answering my
anthropological life
question.
of aliens. She studies different alien life. That's what she does. So she understands their culture and who they are as an anthropologist. So xeno just means outside of. So it's just an anthropologist that studies non-Earth culture.
Okay, you win me.
I think.
Well, the outside of is really helpful. Okay. You can tell me about any nation, because they're all confusing to me.
So on this planet, Kaminar, that's where we are. We're on the planet of Kaminar. And there are two species that we know of right now in Kaminar, the Baul and the Kelpians. And as we know, Saru is a Kelpian. My mama.
So the population is divided into three groups: the Baul, the pre-Vahari Kelpians, and the post-Vahari Kelpians.
Next time! God damn it! I need to know about Vahari. Son of a bitch! I didn't write it down.
We have plenty of time. We're gonna talk about some Vahari. We're gonna talk about
Okay. The how, the what, the where, and the when. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That was amazing. And Rose, thank you. You're so awesome. I know we just hit our time, but that's okay.
We did.
And I just want to say thank you. And Rose, can you take us out of this segment?
Yes, thank you. And that was Marie Has Questions, the Rose Portillo edition, here on Trek Table. I forgot to ask.
Welcome to Discovery Design, where we are going to dish on the design elements that gave us all this drama this episode. I've got some topics here. I'm gonna talk about them and then invite y'all to go off. So first, can we talk about Saru's apartment and the botany of it all? Was that not I've never seen anything like it? What and why and yes, anything?
It must be very moist.
Yes, and I will say that I appreciated getting to see interiors of Saru. I mean, obviously he's a commander, and so he has a lot of space, and he's in his own bedroom. So the fact that he has his own room, whereas even Burnham and Tilly are sharing, not everybody gets their own quarters. So I just love all the botany and just so many beautiful. There looks things that look like pikake leaves, just different kinds of flowers and fauna. Super awesome.
The light that comes into that room.
So gorgeous. I'm wondering, as a commander, where does he have time to take care of all these things? Does he have a gardener that a landscape architect that
Dear God.
Spaceman?
I'm wondering, is there a space, a Trek botanist that that helps to keep up with
Keiko
plants
O'Brien.
alive?
I mean, Keiko O'Brien is a botanist in space, but I think it's because that's what Kelpians do.
It's true.
Kelpians are gardeners. They're gardeners by nature. They cultivate plant life. So I mean, that's just why, that's why everything looks nice and neat. He was raised that way to
You're saying this, Maya Mama, like we know all this stuff about Kelpians. This is our first time
Thank you, Claudia.
finding out about Kelpians. They've never been introduced in all of the 8 or 9 different TV series. This is our first Kelpians. You speak about Kelpians with so much authority. But here's my question. All right, can we talk about the Kelpian planet? because it was giving me like garden
Yes.
vibes, not like wildlife vibes. I was like, Kelpians, you
Mhm.
really tame your nature.
Right.
What's up with that?
Right.
Well, again, that's all they do. They don't really do anything else. They garden all day and then they go to bed.
She's
mean,
putting it
it's a-
together
it's
through
a-
context.
harvest
Through
kelp?
context. Oh,
Yeah, they like they
Do they? I have a
Um,
question. Do they garden kelp, or do
Could
they
it be
harvest
where their
kelp?
name comes from? Oh, that's interesting.
Is that why they're kelpians?
Oh, and who gave them that name? Like that's
Oh.
like all right. We're gonna have to talk more about that. Can I just
Yeah.
ask us? Can we talk a little about the Baul, because they had a very like harsh aesthetic. I would love to hear a little bit about the Baul design. Any reflections?
Totally. We're seeing images in the chat. We pulled some images around the actual physical body of the baul, and
Oh,
and then
nasty.
just the technology of like, it seems like the baul need a container to exist in, and then we're seeing the red eyes of the body, which echo the red eye of the watchful eye on the pylons in the tower. It felt a little Battlestar Galactica to me with the pylons. But yeah, no,
It's-
definitely.
I think the Baul is giving me like the alien that killed Tasha Yar vibes. Low key. Do you remember Star Trek the Next Generation? The alien that killed Tasha? I'm sorry, y'all. Spoilers for Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1. I apologize. I just ruined that episode
You're
for
fine.
you.
They're
It's
fine.
really
They're
okay.
fine.
The name of that being, I did the memory alpha homework. The name of that being is Aramis, and Aramis was an omnipotent being. So I do not think they are necessarily related. But there's some interesting opportunity to consider that perhaps maybe they are. That maybe Aramis is a baul of unto themselves. I don't know. Inconclusive and certainly not linked. So
Well, those the alien
have
from that off
headcanon
Tasha
happening.
Yar was the disgusting leftovers of the shining beautiful race, the Skeksis of them, if you will.
Yes.
The Skeksy part. Also, it reminded me of the girl from The Ring that was trapped in the well, and then it can only come out when it's like it
Oh, yeah.
like it needs to be in
Yeah.
the well, and that sort of made me.
No,
I don't know.
finish that. It can only come out when? When can
It can only come out like when it's summoned. It comes out of the water, and it sort of just kept reminding me of that movie of Ringu,
Yes.
the actual Japanese Japanese one,
yeah.
not the American one. I just thought it was interesting.
Oh,
There
I
was a
need to
real
see that.
cursed vibe to it.
Yes.
The Baul are cursed beings, which opinions
if in-
about that, but
If in
Well,
this
but-
world, the world of discovery, it's people, entities seem to come from their own generation, right? Their own ancestry that is very in conflict with other ancestry. So it's interesting that the baul is so, at least this one that we see, is so to our aesthetic, right? The slimy
Totally.
black and all of that.
I have a question, and this is me moving us away from this and asking us just to think a little bit about the design on Discovery, because I want to make sure I don't skip that. We had a lot of cool stuff happening on the planet. We actually got to see the Red Angel close up, finally. Any reflections on that Red Angel before we run out of time and on Discovery design?
pretty, and that's it.
Feminine.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know.
Nurturing.
Definitely.
Ooh, Star Trek
Humanoid.
fight. Star Trek fight. I want to hear more. I just heard someone reflect that possibly that wasn't giving them femme vibes.
Correct. Me.
I love it.
tell us.
That's all I can say. Not necessarily feminine.
I can agree with you, because you know what is femme. I mean, technically speaking, we say this Red Angel in sort of a utilitarian pants type outfit. There's no essentially, we don't see anything that indicates any kind of gender. I think it's more of a coloring, and it's more of we put feminine traits because the Red Angel is a caring and comforting presence. So I think that might be where the femme energy might be coming from. But
and also just
but
the
physically, I don't see
terminology of-
any.
Well, so
the
far that
terminology of angel is like usually feminine or child. So
but
Yes.
isn't that
children,
weird?
yeah.
That
Definitely.
we do that in our heads, but actually the angels that are biblical are all men. They're all men.
True.
It's so weird, but they all are depicted with the long hair, and so they're allowed. Angels are allowed to have feminine aspects ancestrally, and whether we believe or not, or adhere or not, it is part of our social context. And this show is full, not this episode, but this show references biblical references all the time.
Yes, it's so true. All of them. Like if you go to the original, all sorts of
'Cause it's
biblical
part of our consciousness.
references. What I also loved was like getting to like the eyeball shot, like the director just did something fancy with the shot so that we could see that we were seeing the angel through Saru's very specific perspective, and that's amazing because like there's some reference that Saru can see things more deeply or more special than other characters, so I think that's interesting. Like his alien type can see really good. Last question, I would love for anyone, could anyone reflect on the sphere data? Because it was giving me like 1980s computer hacking vibes with just like all the numbers on screens. Did
I just
anyone
thought of it
notice
as
the sphere data?
I just thought of it as like everything. It's like a better memory alpha. I do want to point out that memory alpha not only is an actual real life website, but it is an actual thing that exists within the Star Trek universe. It is the repository for all currently known knowledge that
my
they
God, I
have
love
in the
you.
universe.
Memory alpha.
And so like you can look up like y'all can look up the actual website, but within the Star Trek universe, there is a repository of knowledge that already exists. It's just not as in depth as the sphere knowledge. I just think it's so interesting, and I could spend the rest of my life just falling into a sphere wiki hole. That'd be everything I do.
What's amazing about this sphere is that never before has anyone in the universe encountered a sphere-like thing that's hundreds of thousands of years old, and then in an instant they could extract all that data, transform it in a way that they could read it, analyze it, and then create all of these like beautiful visualizations. And it's like, wow, this like superhero data scientists, Arium, and
wow.
It's
I
just
love
like
that
it's,
shot.
it's amazing how quickly they can get through all this massive amounts of data when they didn't even know how to talk the language of the sphere like yesterday.
And just to say visually for folks, we all went, ooh, love that image. We were seeing images of Tilly and Burnham looking at a planet while Tilly's talking early in the episode about a slice of galaxy pie. So I just I just want to say, like, I really appreciate that we're meeting crew in new ways, that we get to understand Arium a lot more. We talked right before we went live about how Owosakun is like my favorite character right now, and just I'm so glad that she's getting more to say and do. And she's at ops and
It's a good thing they have Arium on that ship though. Like Arium is specifically has specific skill sets because of her disabled identity and the fact that she's an augmented human being. She has other abilities others don't have, and that's the only reason they're able to speed read that sphere data like that. So
That's right.
So just
that's
like
right,
good points.
And
All right,
Tilly-
y'all. Oh no, go ahead.
all I was gonna say is Tilly was like, and Arium and I'll get back to you. Actually, no, I'm kidding. Arium will just do it because it is done.
And I also love the moment of, can you please tell me what I don't understand. I don't understand what it says. So can you please tell me? Just that moment of just like acknowledgement. I know you're really smart. I don't know what you're saying.
Yes. And speaking of that brings us to the end of Discovery Designs this week. Next week, we're going to be talking in addition more on that Discovery Design stuff.
Yes, and I want to take this second to give a shout out. Thank you to our podcast listeners out there. What's up, podcast fam? We are so glad that you are listening to us on the podcast. We just dropped episodes. We're about to drop all of our episodes for season 2. The last 2 come out tomorrow, so you'll catch up to us today. We just want to say thank you. Feel free to like and subscribe to us at all of our podcast locations. Thanks, Anna Marie Siegel, for that quote. Got us on Apple Podcasts. And if you've got a second, tweet at us. Let us know that you're listening, talking with us at Trek Table 1 on Twitter. And you can always hashtag TT23, Trek Table episode number 23. And here we come into hashtag design.
Yes, and as we head into our musical break, we're going to be sharing with you Trek Table question number 2. Are the Baul isolationalists because they ugly? Like, what is beauty and revulsion in outer space?
Mira que regresa el maldito. Viene con las manos llenitas de piedra que no quiere arrojar.
All right, y'all. So we were talking about Trek Table question number 2. Are the Baul isolationists because they ugly? And then, of course, we opened it up with what is beauty and revulsion in outer space. But in Discovery Design, Rose, Maya Mama, y'all were bringing up some really good ideas about, Dayla, you were mentioning like some of the connections between them and this other species. So we saw them, they're black, they're slimy, these are aesthetic choices. Let's talk about it. What is beauty and revulsion in outer space?
Yeah. No, it was hard not to think about race and through our own history. Depictions, the cartoonish depictions that have been made of pick your ethnicity, just pick it.
Wow.
And the revulsion, they've been made to be like, you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like that. So, yes, in the eye of the beholder, in the eye of the culture you come from, and something is different and it's scary. And so instead of listening or approaching with listening compassion, first we must just make it evil. And so that's where I went.
I like it.
Okay, Maya Mama, what is your take? Because I'm like, yes to everything you just said, but I'm trying not to start another conversation. Maya Mama, what's your take?
Okay, so number 1, rude. Yes. We don't know if they are ugly. And I think because they're physically frail. Is why they're isolationists. They're afraid. They're afraid to go near anyone. It's why their weapons are bigger, physically more imposing. Like you saw the size of those pylons and the size of the ships in space. They like tower over Discovery. Also, I believe that that federationally speaking, that the the Kelpians are the good guys because they look closer to what your average Federation system looks like. They don't have the and I didn't think of them as slimy. I thought of them as wet because they're coming out of the water. They're wet. They're not slimy. So there's like a slight difference there, but not really very much.
No, there is. But I thought of oil spill. So,
but yeah, that's what it looks like. That is,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, all right. So, oh Maya Mama. Okay. I just want to make room for other people to respond because I could do a dissertation based on your 2 responses. Y'all, Lizzie Linda, what is your take on the Baul? Are they ugly? What is ugliness?
Exactly. What is ugly? What is beautiful? What is good? What is bad? That's the question. Maybe they're beautiful because they're flowy and they're beautiful in the night. Maybe they're beautiful dancing in the water and they're super fluid. And So maybe they are beautiful, but just in the way we look at it, and it totally Maya Mama. It's like the people who are good are the ones that look like us and walk like us as similar, and they're tall, and they are on the land, and they carry lots of pretty flowers, and they're more colorful, and they're not black. So is that what?
But that takes me to Rose's amazing response, being like, so why is it that we like to in the United States, why we iconographically associate things that are bad with things that are black? What's up with that? Ooh, come on.
Well,
All right,
it's
De La-
biblical. Again, there's a biblical reference there. Old
I love
Testament,
it.
not.
I love it. And I'll just say, like, I love that we get to do track table questions because we want to braid it together in thematic. So what I want to just say is yes and to all of what we just heard. And to say that I actually think they're isolationists because they do not have skeletal structures or exoskeletons. And so they are beings in liquid form and have to protect themselves in a different way than skeleton based or exoskeleton protected beings.
Y'all, every time I ask you a simple, slightly sarcastic trick table question, then y'all take me. I'm like, I just got all these deep thoughts now. Podcast listeners, jump in here, share what you think, add us on Twitter at TrekTable1. For context, consider adding hashtag TT23 or hashtag Q2, hashtag Baul Aesthetics. Thank you, podcast listeners. That was our Trek Table question number 2. Amazing. But now it's that very special time in the show where we get a dance break as we head into Space Runway.
Some of the eye-catching looks from function to fashion in the 23rd century. Space Runway.
Welcome to Space Runway, special guest edition. I'm not able to join the entire show this week, but I wanted to still give you some highlights for season 2, episode 6, with my special guests, Sara Guerra, Lulu Matute, Beatrice Thomas, aka Black Benatar, who will be helping me share 8 looks today. Here we go. Look number 8, Man in the Mycelial Network. Hugh Culber returns as his own reconstituted matter through spore magic. But although cleared for duty, something isn't right. While Stamets looks longingly at his clean-shaven face and broad shoulders, he's so happy giddy he got a second chance with his space boo. This time he's the one not noticing something is off with Culber. He looks out of sorts, but Culber still fly in his white tank undershirt. Is that space underwear? So we can see his impeccable pecs and his shoulder where that important scar used to be. He has his blue Federation jogging pants and space sneakers on, but forgoes an actual shirt for now. Take your time, Space Poppy. Let me know if you need someone to hold your new hand. Look number 7, Sisterhood of the Traveling Away Mission outfits.
Berman and Saru beam down to pre-warp Canamar, looking like a TikTok challenge where 2 friends of different sizes wear the same outfit, except tall, lanky Saru's robe is below the knees and Berman's robe hits at mid-thigh. Everything else is matchy-matchy. Long-sleeve undershirts and leggings peek out of their matching blue-gray hooded wraparound robes, matching belt with pouch for their communicators, all cinched at the waist, looking comfy and ready to skirt the regulations of General Order 1.
Look number 6, Priest in a Secret Garden.
Here we see Saru's sister Sarana, the Kelpian priestess, popping up in an all-white among the lush Kelpian gardens. Pre-warp clothing is all about draping down from the gods to the ankles and rough hemming of sleeves. She dons an over-the-shoulder white sash with swirled stitches and fringe that goes down past her knees, looking like a fine fly Pentecostal something. And look, all the Kelpians float tall wearing Gaga-style no-heel boots.
Look number 5, if you want to be my Burnham, you got to get with Sporty Mike.
After letting Saru give himself up to the Baul, Burnham stays back on the ship in a sporty white long sleeve running shirt with Discovery insignia on the chest and comfy gray pants. Her light colors popping among the regulation blue uniforms running around the ship as she searches for answers.
Look number 4, cyborg assistance. Lieutenant Ariam is back in the middle of the action, helping Tilly and Burnham. This calm, collected cyborg sister sports metal side plates across her face that connect to a smooth white silver helmet, plus blue gloves on her hands. So curious about all these augments and her backstory. But for now, we know she's gone from spore drive operations officer to supercomputer researcher, looking chill in her regulation blue uniform and all that data. Look number 3, anxious Ash, quick changes.
Did anyone else notice that Ash Tyler changed back out of his leather torchbearer slash Section 31 outfit full circle to Security Ops Direct Blue uniform? I'm sorry, Security Ops Discovery Blue uniform. Now with a subtle black Section 31 comms badge, all I have to say is whether he's in jail, a Klingon, a security officer, a torchbearer, a secret agent, he really commits to the job. But we seriously love him for his shaggy hair, slightly trimmed beard, and all protective paranoia.
And look number 2, from the depths of the Baul pool.
Baul looks positively freaky couture, rising from the waters dripping in smoky black oily goop, and shows off spindly limbs and digits, long tendrils from their heads, glowing red eyes, and protruding spines along their back. My cat does that. The truth will be contained in those Pan's Labyrinth jazz hands, positively gag-worthy.
Yes, and look number 1, the red angel in Saru's eye.
Come on, Lulu. Let's talk gagging. We've all seen Spock's lookbook sketches, right? We've been following the bright red lights. We've wondered if we were hallucinating, but finally, with Saru's ability to zoom in with his prey eyes, we get a better view of this red angel suit number that has been leading us on a scavenger hunt around the universe. Maya, are those metal boots knee high that we see? Are those helicopter wings, girls? Blades, wings? Maya, help me. Gagging should be impossible, right? But looking forward to what impossible looks like on the Red Angel. I can't wait until we finally get a closer look.
That's right, my friends. Thanks to our special guests, Sara Guerra, Lulu Matute, and Black Benatar for our special guest space runway this week. Fashion, form, and function in the future. And I hope to see you guys back in the future. Thanks for joining me.
Awesome. Welcome back to the thematic section of Trek Table. We just want to give a big round of applause and love to that special space runway. Thank you, Maya Chinchilla, and your table assembled. Thank you to Sara Guerra, Lulu Matute, and Black Benatar, a.k.a. Beatrice Thomas. Thank you so much. Never hurts to say all your names again. We're super excited. Would love you to join us on the show. All right. So we've talked about all these things in this episode. Right before we saw Space Runway, we were talking about the Baul and aesthetics. But a lot we've talked about in this episode is about fear. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of recovery from fear. We don't have fear in our bodies. And you could kind of pick almost any person on the crew, even like Burnham's fear for Spock and what she's afraid of for him. So I just kind of wanted to go around the horn and just see kind of thoughts about fear in this episode. We're about to do 3 topics in this section, but Maya Mama, can you talk to us a little bit about kind of where do you land in this episode about fear?
Well, I think that one of the overarching themes of this episode is that the lack of fear is hope. And when we really think about it, that's what people are missing when they're afraid. It's what the Kelpians are missing, because all they know is the culling. When they go into Vahara, is that they're gonna die. It's what's happening with Dr. Kolber. It's what's happening with uh, even Burnham's fear for Spock, and it's that lack of hope, the lack that things will be better. And then also, I just I will always go back into Saru. It's not that Saru isn't feeling fear, it's that his fear is being suppressed, which is very similar to what Vulcans do with their emotions. Vulcans aren't without emotions, Vulcans suppress their emotions. And Saru's natural biological parts are suppressing his fear, and the way that he is um getting a little aggressive at times about it, I think is just really interesting. Just learning how to adjust to not having fear.
Yes, thank you. And we're seeing a little bit of visuals of Saru's internal biology as was projected in the med bay, sick bay by Dr. Pollard. Thank you so much, Maya Mama, for that. Claudia, I'm going to come to you. What do you think about this topic of fear amidst this episode?
Ooh, complicated, because you don't want to live with no fear. That's foolishness. That's living in denial of consequences and in denial of lessons learned from the past. So you don't want to have no fear. That's straight up foolishness. So like in the moment where Saru is on the bridge and he like fully goes off and he's just like, yo, Baul, you've been tricking us that whole time. Like he straight up sets up his entire people to get genocided in that moment. All he had to do is keep his cool and keep his mouth shut. Like Pike was doing his diplomatic, he was handling his business. But you had Saru with no fear. So he went off. That said, what was the moment? I think that when characters and when nations act out of fear, act out of a belief that the worst possible consequence is the only outcome that's possible. That's the end of hope. And so if you're acting in that way, I think you're acting in a way that is a self-fulfilling prophecy of badness. So you don't want to be acting out of that kind of fear.
Totally. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Luz Vaminda, what say you about the fear, and then we'll come to Rose.
Well, Claudia just stole my thunder. Mainly as a lack of fear being foolishness and recklessness, and just not having any respect for consequence. Like Saru just wanted to be his badass self, go out into Kaminar and like want to save the day. And if it wasn't for the Red Angel saving his ass at the right moment, his whole half the planet, half of his species or more would have died. Just this mass genocide. Thank goodness that someone else saved the day. And he just went in with this assumption that someone's gonna have my back, right? I'm good. I can do what I want. Thankfully it all worked out. But yeah, fear can also bring, just some little calmness or just like a little bit of, take a step back. So
okay, so we're getting that perspective. I'm gonna invite Rose in, and maybe we're gonna have a Star Trek fight, because Rose, I know when you checked in earlier in the conversation around truck table question number 1, I know that you were really resonating with Saru this episode and him being able to not have fear. Tell me a little bit about what you're thinking about right now.
So first of all, I felt the word choice was very specific. The doctor looking at the skeletal and saying your fear response has been repressed. It's very nuanced. Yes. Definitely when someone it's like when he's sitting in the chair and Pike comes over and just looks at him.
Yeah.
Right. And then he goes, oh, right. And you realize it's what servants do when they are grateful for the job, grateful for the refuge, grateful, grateful, grateful. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to sit here. Yes, Massa, I should have known you opened the door.
Deference.
It's that kind of moment, right? And so it wasn't, oh, of course, this is the captain's chair, but it was his first moment of like, what? Oh, that's right. You're in the room now. I'm a commander. You're the captain. So so that was interesting. And Pike looking at him like, you've never done that before. No, because I've never not been afraid before. So there's that. There is the moment when he's shackled. And all of a sudden, and I want to know more about this, and we might find out more, he simply takes the shackles off. He does it. It's not like he was suddenly given drank a magic potion. It had never occurred to him before to just take them off. Is what I got from that. And so this moment of transformation that he's in and that he's feeling, because he in his wisdom asks, I'm going to, how has this change affected my psychology? I see what it's done to my x-ray, to my body, but what has it done to my psychology? And she basically says, who knows? This is the time will tell kind of moment, because he's dealing with the familial and ancestral DNA shift that he's been asking for. And then with his sister, after they have regained themselves, and she says, what have they been so afraid of? And his response is the fear of rage from those oppressed.
Yes.
Is that not the moment we're living right now?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna reshift how we talk about this section, because we were gonna jump to Colbert, but let's stay here because Rose, I feel like you and what everybody just shared really leads us to topic 3, which is this moment with the Baul and with the Kelpians is super complex because it does have these moments of very codified racial designators that make me want to clue into things I know. I actually randomly pulled that image of Saru sitting in the captain's chair because of that moment. Because I was like, Saru just doesn't give Fs right now because he's not afraid. He's not living with threat ganglia.
But
every
he
second.
does still give respect.
He does once he realizes what's up. When you said,
he is coming to the understanding that he's a pocho. He has one foot on one side of the border and one side on the other side of the border.
Okay.
And
all right.
his loyalty is to both. And he's figuring that out for the first time.
And I just want to say, I saw Claudia's visual reaction. You see, we need to do an Instagram post that says Saru is a pocho. That is actually really fascinating to me. Okay, so let's talk about this though. Claudia, I want to welcome you into this conversation because on Thursday when we did our prep, we were just talking about how, I left feeling sticky, yucky about the way in which, Kelpians are white looking. They're white. I'm going to save some other stuff in the spoiler zone for things that I know about season 3. But then we get to the Baul and they're black. And it's just like, I just had this moment of like, really? We're empathizing with the white looking people and we're demonizing the black looking species. People. And just Rose, you just brought in all this other context. So Claudia, I'm going to invite you to jump in here. Thoughts about this? How are you feeling about this complexity?
Well, it's complicated because whenever I'm watching Star Trek, I'm watching 3 different shows at the same time, right? I'm watching the show that is about the show that all the TV shows are telling a story about race, and low-key, all of the TV shows are telling a story about race that's meant to keep me they don't want me to revolt. So those stories are meant to keep me placated and feeling good about the circumstances that we live in. They're meant to convince me of some things that aren't really true. They're meant to reinforce some thoughts about me automatically associating blackness with badness, me automatically associating the actor who plays the character with some things about the character. So there's something that's being done when they cast a white actor as the characters, even when they're under a bunch of makeup and they're totally alien. There's a story that's being told when the choice is made to cast actors that are racialized white as those alien characters. I would argue that in Star Trek: The Next Generation, we saw some real interesting, shifty storytelling made once they started casting actual African American actors as the as the Klingons. So I think that's a level of storytelling that's being told. I also think that we're getting a real narrow slice of storytelling that's meant to have me enter this story with some real strong opinions. I'm pro Saru. I'm team Saru, y'all. So that means I'm team all the Kelpians, which means I'm actually I'm anti the Baul. But then here's my last point, and I'm going to stop talking. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. The last part is low key, a lot of the behaviors of the Baul and the ways that they're describing a lot of the behaviors of the colonialist United States, the imperialist United States, and how it frames itself as protecting itself when it's really just doing straight up violence or doing straight up exploiting a people in the ways that they've like totally framed society. So that's my take on the thing you just said, Dela.
Thank you for that. Who wants to go next? Maya Mama, you want to jump in here, or should I go to Lucy?
I've got a couple of things. I was thinking about just the standard European definitions of of good and evil as far as aesthetics. I was thinking about before the show started, Rose, you and I were talking about C.S. Lewis, and I was thinking about the Clormans and how they were dark skinned and therefore evil and dark and light. I did have to say that at least, at the very, very least, when Sarana is introduced to Michael Burnham, she does not try to reach out and touch no one's hair. So we got something. She was very like, wow, what is that? But also, I'm seeing a lot of like weird, toxic, masculine behaviors that are going on with Saru, because Saru doesn't really know how to take his strength and process that yet into something that works for everybody, which is why he's all weird and sort of trying to dominate over his interactions with Pike. That's all.
That's all. Love it. Appreciate it. Minda, I want to welcome you into this convo. Thoughts, feelings about where we are in this conversation about light and dark, race, characters. Team Saru, where are you?
Right. So there's this issue with they came to this planet just to get information. We're just here just to find stuff. We're not going to tell any of the Kelpians what post-Vahari is. We are not going to interfere with their natural evolution, right? And what brings that up for me is like, why not? And why could you talk to the Baul because they have certain technology, and the Kelpians, you're not allowed to really interact or tell them where you're coming from or who you are, because they don't have access to technology. They don't have access to education. They don't have access to advanced things, even though they did have someone who stole technology and proved that they can figure things out if they were granted some type of access. But if you're oppressed and you're basically, killed for educating yourself and, figuring out technology, how are you ever going to be in a place where you can interact with, other worlds? So, so yeah, just kind of thinking about that, and what is the role of, Starfleet as it expands and connects with other worlds. Who does it connect with? Only the ones at the moment that have the privilege and access to the most advanced resources and technology?
Colonizers.
Only the colonizers?
Yeah.
Those are the good people. Those are our people.
The colonizers.
Well, they have access. They have the access, which gives them the power, right?
Yeah.
And Rose, I just want to invite you into this conversation too. Like, tell me other thoughts. I mean, you brought us here next because of the things you were setting up in that last convo. So I just want to,
Well, I was going to go on a different track until Luce, you spoke, and you brought up knowledge. And there is a wonderful, again, it's a reference, it's a biblical reference to Genesis of, it had to do, and I was looking for my note because I wrote down exactly what he said and I can't find it. But it had to do with once Saru left, Saru figured it out. And he sent the signal to save his people. But it meant that he had to become a refugee, or they had to become a refugee, and gave up the ability to go home again because of knowledge. Now, that was a myth that he is now breaking, which is also adding to his transformation. But he never, in order to save his people, he believed he had to give up ever going back again because of knowledge, that knowledge is what would keep him from going home. And it is a story that he was given. It is a story that we have been given. It is a story that women have been punished with.
Nice.
Come on. Yes.
I love it. I love it. And there is so much more to say. And I just want to echo what we know to be true on Trek Table. Claudia says it, discovery rewards a rewatch. And I will just say, watching this episode, I remember I am Team Saru. I have been Team Saru from the get. I love that Saru and Michael are siblings. I love that we got that affirmation 2 episodes ago, right before he thought he was about to go. And he and Burnham are loving on each other. So yeah, I appreciate we can hold all this complexity and talk about how we feel about Saru, how we're feeling about this colonialist moment, how we're also just feeling about and I feel like, we started it with Saru wants to tell the truth about something that he was raised to believe, that he knows to be a lie.
Right.
And I will just say, as a queer person, like that moment resonated with me of like, this homophobic lie I've been told my whole life is not true. Right. So I just want to, give it up to Bo Young Kim and Erica Lippold, the writers, for this episode, and the director. Just like, thank you for that complexity. I mean, obviously we have our Trek Table Star Trek fight ready about how we're feeling about the overall design choices, about black and white. But that does not mean, and just to love and clarify, it makes me love the show even more that we can have this complex of a conversation, love and disagree with each other, and still like be cool and ready to watch some more. So there was never enough time for this Trek Table to get all the way through. I will ask, though, if folks could, we did want to dig in a little bit to Space Daddy Culber, and I wonder if folks might save your Culber, if Culber might be part of your final thoughts. And I don't want to disregard Culber's journey, especially as our Afro-Latino doctor, and all of the things that have become true about him being alive again. So I just want to acknowledge all of that. And ask that we hold a little bit for Space Daddy Culber, maybe for our final thoughts. We're about to jump into spoiler zone because there are some spoilers that need to be addressed. And this Trek Table has just continued to become mega because of all the amazing insights from this Trek Table assembled. So I just want to say thank you so much, and let folks know if you're watching or you're listening and you still have only watched all the way up to season 2, episode 6, we're about to go into spoiler zone for about 3-4 minutes. So mute your volume or check back on the screen with us. And just to say, Brandon, please take us into the spoiler zone.
Incoming transmission.
Go.
I don't know. I mean,
I got a spicy take.
Go.
I got a spicy take. My spicy take for spoiler zone is this. Maybe the Bowl were right. Season 3, what do we have? The entire universe being destroyed and brought to his knees by one mad Kelpian, by one Kelpian with the feels, is able to destroy all space travel and society starts to collapse. Maybe the Baul were right to be like, these people should remain in their pre Vahari state. That's me taking a real spicy take. I'm not sure if I actually believe it.
I'm gonna agree / disagree with you and say that the Baul were correct to be afraid of the Kelpians, but they were not okay with all the mass murder. Like they were right, because there's something about Kelpians. Kelpians have this strength and this intelligence that and this ability to dominate over a species that is frightening. And for the most part they have been taught to not be that way, similar to how humans were taught to not be that way. And then but then we have a child, and that's the problem, is that he was a little kid. He didn't know any better when he burned everything. He didn't know any better. He was just a kid.
But also powerful, though.
Yeah, and I'll just say, look, we haven't seen it yet, but Pollard says it in this episode. Your ganglia are gone, and now you're growing these spike-like teeth in the back of your head, which we get to see Saru use full force. Exactly. So I just want to say, I realized in rewatching this episode, and I've shared this a little bit with the team at our prep, I now believe that the USS Discovery has Star Trek superheroes on it, including Saru, who's the first Kelpian to go through Vahari in 2,000 years, including Michael Burnham, a.k.a. the Red Angel. If you don't know that, I'm super sorry. You need to get to that part of the show.
This is going, baby!
For real, all of it. Just Tyler is Voke, like, okay. Tilly survived the mycelial jump with May. Santo Daddy Colbert has come back to life, reconstituted with DNA, all of it. So I just, again,
he's part tardigrade.
Yeah, he's part tardigrade. Yeah, he's part ship also, so Pike does all the things that Pike does. I mean, so, and then I just want to say Section 31, Tyler and Pike having a conversation at the very end of the episode made me look forward.
We can't talk about control. Control. I'm not going to say a thing because this is the zone. Well,
transfer of data is complete.
Good song.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was our spoiler zone. Thank you all for joining us for this spoiler zone, and listeners on the podcast, people on the video, we want you to come back. Thank you so much, and those are our thoughts for Thematic Season 2, Star Trek Discovery, Episode 6, The Sound of Thunder. And I'm going to pass to Minda.
Are you intrigued by our approach to Star Trek? Help us hold Trek space for women of color and our allies. Direct your dollars and support us on patreon.com/TrekTable.
And as we head into our final Trek Table question number 3, what's your favorite flavor of Saru? Sassy Saru, strong Saru, stand up for myself Saru, or sexy Saru? All right, y'all, I already revealed myself. I'm Team Saru, but there are so many different flavors of Saru now. We've got Saru pre-Varihai, post-Varihai. What is up? I want to hear what your favorite flavors of Saru are. You know what? We're not even a stage to my alliterative list. You can add any other S flavor you want, but like sexy Saru was like sexy with Saru when he was like leaning over and he's like, I'm about to die, but look at me. I'm leaning and look at me. I'm about to die. That was sexy Saru. All right, Rose, I'm gonna start with you. That's right. That's right. I've decided to start with you, Rose. What's your favorite flavor of Saru?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say I like your definition of sexy. And and I'm going with one that ain't there. I'm sorry. Philosopher Saru.
Oh, Philosopher Saru, come on!
Thank
All
you for
right,
the
all
y'all.
right.
Thank you.
Okay,
For that.
I'm gonna go to you, Maya Mama. What's your favorite Saru?
Comforting Saru, wise Saru, loving Saru. That's my favorite Saru.
Yeah, why does Saru feel like he's like very young but also very old at the same time? He's always coming with like the really like
'Cause he
wise
is.
advice. De La, what is your favorite? We got strong Saru. We got stand up for ourselves. What's your favorite Saru?
Quoting him from season 2, episode 1, Saru. He puts his hand on his little hips. Just Saru.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's from the roll call. Roll call, Saru. Just Saru. We have some turbulence. We have some turbulence.
Turbulence.
There's
Call
all
over.
over. Just 1 second while I fix it.
So that was that. We have some horrible turbulence happening. While we have some repairs happening in this section of the ship, I'm going to share with you my favorite Saru. My favorite Saru is Soft Boy Saru. That's right. I feel like Saru should have a podcast and just like tell me what he thinks about stuff. I'm here for it.
Do you spell boy with an I there? Soft boy, B-O-I, or B-O-Y, soft boy? Saru?
Yes, I did specifically spell it. In my brain, I'm like soft, S-O-F, there's no T, soft boy, B-O-I, soft boy Saru. That's my favorite one. If there's anyone out there that would like to make some fan art, please go right ahead and make me fan art of soft boy Saru. Lizzie, what is your favorite flavor of Saru?
I would have to say it's sexy Saru laying on that bed. It's him being vulnerable and exposed. And even when he's on his deathbed, he's all comforting Michael, saying, you know, it's okay. And I'm like, you're the one dying. But still, he has a capacity to empathize and show compassion to someone else. And so that's the ultimate for sexiness of just like letting someone fully in, letting yourself be fully open. And so sexy Saru, he's my man.
All right, come on. And I feel like that brings us to the end of reflecting on the many flavors of Saru. We got some Saru love going on, and we've also, I think, resolved the very large pieces of turbulence that we were receiving. That brings us to the end of the table.
Our acting of moving.
No, I was 100% trying to practice the turbulence. Okay, that brings us to the end of Trek Table question number 3.
All right, welcome back to this ruckusy, space turbulent filled Star Trek loving fight happening. So I just want to say we strive to hold space for Black, Indigenous, Brown women of color. And here are some of the resources that we want to amplify from the Trek Table. We want to highlight the work of women of color content creators, community builders, and world shapers. We have 3 for today, and I'm going to go first. All right, everyone. San Francisco has a monkey king, and she is freaking out. Monkey Around is the debut novel from J.D. Jang, aka our dear friend Claire Light, who has co-hosted this show. It is a must read. It's an action-packed urban fantasy delivering a bold new take on the Monkey King, and it's been named one of BuzzFeed's 35 amazing fantasy books coming out this summer. I got to read an advanced copy. I cannot tell you how amazing it is. Amazing. Go out now, grab your copy. Congrats, JD Jang. Super proud of you. Claudia, can I have you go next?
Trek Table also encourages you to check out The Away Team, featuring Kennedy Allen and Tony Ray. Join Starfleet's temporal finest as they review the Trek universe through the Black perspective. Follow the mission, stick together, mind your business, and boldly go. At Away Team on Insta, at Away Team Pod on Twitter. Find them on Spotify.
Nice.
Yes.
We celebrate Rollin' with My Homies, hosted by Santina Muha. Santina is a comic and wheelchair user for most of her life. In this series, she interviews wheelchair users about everything from parenting to intersectionality to the dumb things people ask and beyond. Helping to normalize this often forgotten and diverse minority with lots of humor and heart. New shows launch every other Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Next show is August 19th. Check out the channel for previous episodes. Get it, Santina?
Awesome. And if you have a woman of color, that content creator that you want us to amplify, let us know. Send us a DM in our Instagram at Trek Table or at Trek Table 1 on Twitter. And that was Signal Boost for Trek Table episode number 23. Awesome. We are back. I want to say thank you so much for joining this episode 23 of the Trek Table. I just want to share some of the love that we're getting in the chat. Thank you, Elaine, for saying you have grown so much from this episode. Lots of new mantras popping up for you. Just amazing. So just Table, I just want to share that. Like, Elaine, we're so happy you're here with us. We're so happy to share this. So we're wrapping up this episode. It's been action-packed. It's been filled with adventure. It's been filled with lots of really great Star Trek opinions and interests and insights. So I'm just going to say thank you. And as we close out, as we always do, I want to invite the table to go around and just tell us final thoughts on this episode, season 2, episode 6, The Sound of Thunder. I'm going to invite Luz Viminda to go first. Luz Viminda, your thoughts?
I really enjoyed this episode. It seemed like it's really focused on the Saru story. Oftentimes in Discovery, we have like multiple parallel stories happening all at the same time. This one was really focused on Saru and the experience on Kaminar. At the same time, I don't want to forget what's happening back on board the ship with Space Daddy Culber and his transformation and his seemingly perfect, beautiful, scarless body, all new, made from, molecule by molecule, but deep inside feeling broken. And so even though outwardly his appearance just seems just at normal, there's so much else going on inside. So I'm just kind of reflecting on that and holding space for all people who look okay on the outside or who look fabulous on the outside, but have a lot of brokenness that we are is much harder to see. And, but we need to be curious about and draw that out and hold them in ways that are, in ways that they need to be held, in ways that they want to be held.
Thank you so much. Maya Mama, can I ask you to go next? Share your final thoughts for this episode.
So my final thought was sort of a question, was the theme of this episode fear or was it hope? I think it all depends on your perspective and where you're sitting. I think for Culber, it's fear, but for Stim, it's hope. It's a blind hope. I appreciate the fact that his trauma is actually super easy for us, the audience, to see and to connect with, even if nobody else seems to really be latching onto it, that we see that he, it's great that he's alive, but he is suffering. I don't know how long he spent in that mycelial network, but he was being eaten alive and tortured for however long that was. And that was a real experience that, and it's easy for, when everything seems to go back to normal, that we just want to pretend like the bad things didn't happen. And, and to forget about that fear. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for what is going to happen with Culber. This is a path that I think is going to be really great to watch.
Thank you so much. Claudia, can I ask you to share your final thoughts for this episode?
Whew, as always, after this discussion, I have 900 new final thoughts. I'm thinking about how knowledge is power, how the way to control a people is to reduce the amount of knowledge they have, that the way to control people is to reduce their knowledge and make them afraid, to make them afraid of trying to get new knowledge, to make them afraid of the consequences of trying to get that knowledge. So I'm thinking of my I got a great grandfather back in the day who was a slave who taught himself how to read. And I'm thinking about how that act of teaching himself to read and getting that power, that's one of the reasons my family has power and strength in the world, and I'm here with you. I'm thinking about the ways the world is trying to make me afraid of getting new information, afraid of the information that's out there. So I'm just thinking of knowledge and power real hard. Thank you, Trek Table.
Thank you, Claudia. I'll go next so that our special guest Rose can have the final thought today. This is Dayla. I just want to say, I love Daddy Culber. I'm so grateful that he is back, and I feel like this episode really grounds me in wanting to pay. Now watching, I'm really interested not just in Burnham's journey and her arc, but I'm really fascinated with Culber and his arc, and just to love on Wilson Cruz for all that work you're doing, like all the glances, all the alls, like see that work. Thank you for that. And it's really been resonating with me that it really makes me connect to what's happening now with families and kids at the border. People have been stuck in a hell, and they have had to fight for their life in a place that's supposed to be they were coming for refuge and asylum. So I just in watching Hugh's reaction to everyone around him, I was like, and he's special. He has a whole ship who wanted to take care of him and save him and make it okay and show him the scan. He's a doctor. He has all this whole resource about him. And I just think about all of the babies and the families and the children who don't. And so I just want to acknowledge, I acknowledge my implication as a citizen of this place. And so I just want to say thank you to Discovery for always giving us new things to think. And I want to say thanks. I would ditto what Claudia just say. Thanks to this table. Like, I've been wanting to really unpack some of this stuff, and you gave me even more to unpack and think about. So welcome back, Santo Space Daddy, Dr. Hugh Culber. I'm so glad you're here. The Universal Stage Manager just hit a cue to say yes. So that's my final thought. I'm grateful. Rose Portillo, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank
all I ask you to do is share what your final thoughts on this episode.
Thank you. And it's very daunting to be the final one to speak about this. But I'll say transformation. And transformation comes with a price. So for all of them, what is the price? It is something to see, because it allows us, always, art allows us to be able to talk about character and story that's out there as we reflect about our own lives and situations. So, so with the transformation that does in fact come with a price, that is joyful and terrifying and not always pleasant. When we remove fear, when we remove the shackles, who are we? And what comes next?
And I'm just going to give gratitude to that breeze of wind that blew open the curtains behind you. I was like, what? The door opens. That's what happens. The door opens. Yes.
Hopefully.
So I just want to say what's
That's
up,
the hope.
everybody. The hope and not the fear, huh? All right. Those were our deep, deep thoughts and our final thoughts on this Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 6, The Sound of Thunder.
Thank you all for joining us at Trek Table. Get first look at the Trek Table questions, inside scoops, and more when you sign up for our mailing list at trektablepodcast.com.
Find Trek Table Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Like and subscribe to this channel so that you will get more Trek Table in all your algorithms.
That's correct. Like and subscribe to us on Instagram or Facebook at Trek Table and on Twitter at Trek Table 1. Join our convos there and please comment using hashtags Trek Table, hashtag BIWOC Trek, and hashtag Star Trek Discovery.
Yes, and as we enter this phase of gratitude, I just want to say a special thank you to our Space Runway Trek Table Assembled, Maya Chinchilla, Sara Guerra, Lulu Matute, and Black Benatar, aka Beatrice Thomas. Thank you so much. We have so much gratitude, and I echo what Maya said in your segment. Please come and join us at the table. And finally, I'd like to give a big thank you. I always say this at the end of the show, but I just have so much soul and heart gratitude to all of you right now. Thank you to all of you who are assembled today, helping us hold down this ritual. Thank you, Claudia Alec. Thank you, Maya Mills-Lowe. Thank you, Luz Viminda Jariwala. And thank you, Rose Portillo. Thank you all for sharing your insights and your thoughts with us today. All right, as we wrap this ritual, I just want to say we started the show by holding Trek space for Santo Space Daddy Dr. Hugh, who didn't want to be held. So we're not holding you, but we're holding you. We're holding Trek space for people taking space for what's possible when you have space to grow. We're holding space for those living in fear. We are with you and we are listening. And we're holding space for folks like Saru who are just beginning to know their transformed and powerful selves. And finally, we're also holding space for Saru as he reflects on ancestry and the DNA that is familial. On behalf of the Trek Table executive producers, I'm Allison Delacruz.
And I'm Luz Viminda Jariwala, and we would like to thank the Trek Table production team. Production coordinator Brendan Cheng, artist coordinator Ariana Michelle, social media manager and chat moderator Isil Borlasa, stage manager Ariana Michelle.
Deep gratitude and thanks to Outside In Theater, and with extra thanks to Arlo, Alex, Danny, and Tamlin.
Thanks to Deborah Carter, Doc Zulu, and Nancy Yap, and our partners at Visual Communications.
Trek Table is a service mark of De La Projects, LLC.
Yes, and we want to say thanks to everybody for coming to this episode 23 of the Trek Table. We want to close out this ritual. See all you in the 5-up. Trek Table assembled, those in the chat, those on the podcast. Let's go ahead and take a breath in through our nose. And out through your mouth. Awesome. We invite you to join the Trek Table next Sunday, August 15th, when we'll be diving into Season 2, Episode 7 of Star Trek Discovery, Light and Shadow. I will not be there, but the table will, and I'll send you a special video message. Don't worry, we'll hold Trek space for you till then. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you so much.